Now, India is in fact closely tracking another Chinese survey and research vessel equipped with advanced surveillance equipment, which is now on its way to Maldives. Chinese research vessel Xiang-03 has in fact entered the Indian Ocean region through the Sunda Strait of Indonesia. From what we are in fact getting to know at the moment, the vessel is expected to reach the Maldives by around the first week of February. The vessel is headed towards Maldives after Sri Lanka had refused permission for it to dock at one of its ports. Now, the Indian Navy is in fact closely monitoring its movements. Remember, viewers, the president of Maldives, Muizu, has in fact made a complete U-turn from the Maldives conventional India first policy. He has in fact recently returned from a visit to China and had taken a dig at India, implicitly calling us a bully. Meanwhile, joining us on the broadcast are two very special guests, Wing Commander Praful Bakshi, defense expert, as well as Mr. Sanjeev Srivastav, international affairs expert. First, I'd like to come across to Wing Commander Bakshi. Sir, good morning and thank you for joining us on NewsX. Now, of course, Sri Lanka had rebuffed China after their experience regarding the Hambantota port. They had now said that Chinese spy ships will no longer dock at their country. We have in fact seen examples over the past 2 years of numerous Chinese vessels, operating in and around Sri Lankan waters as well. But now that Sri Lanka has rebuffed China, China is of course moving towards Maldives. Muizu, of course, is now almost a thorn for India. Now, what do you make of this vessel's movement towards Maldives, and what are the implications, the security implications for India?
Thank you, Pia. Good morning to you. This is very important news. It has been our minds, and we have been discussing it for the last 2 years, this aspect of the Chinese intrusion into this area. Because Chinese, they are a very large navy, but they have a very large expectation also, and very, their dreams are rather too deep. And they want to now extend their areas of influence, Maldives and beyond. And of course, Sri Lanka was a Hambantota, the whole thing, we don't have to repeat how they have got a hold, and how Hambantota they had entered, how they gave the money to build the port. But question is, they will continue to monitor because South China Sea is hotting up and they want their entire trade route to be safe. It passes through Malacca Strait. Of course, this time Sunda Strait, of course, as they use Indonesia, but they have to come to Malacca Strait and up to Persian Gulf. And this entire area, Maldives, Sri Lanka, etc., can be a threat to them if they don't have their superiority in that. So to create superiority, they have to bring in their vessels, monitoring stations, artificial islands. They have already started across Maldives. They have started working on it. They have already started having a very good relation with Maldives. They have their diplomacy is forcing India to leave that. They are making Muizu, the president, to leave the Maldives. But let me tell you, Pia, this aspect is very serious. India saved Maldives in 1989. I happened to be there when our brigade had landed. I landed with 80 media personnel, and I took them, and there the President Gayoom was very thankful to us. We offered him a armored car also. But question is, the Maldives is forgetting everything. Yes, international diplomacy requires a lot of maneuvering, and somebody has outmaneuvered us, and that's how they have done. So India doesn't augur well for India if Chinese presence comes out there. They've already, around Colombo, they are there. They have got the Coco Island. They have started building their military assets in Coco Island, which is just 50 kilometers from a coast. So, Pia, this entry of the vessel, surveillance vessel, yes, surveillance vessel is not going to survey the skies. That they don't want. They are going to monitor the channel, the frequencies, the channels, the activities, which may not be discernible through satellite, and that's what they are going to do. And this is the aspect they are going to make sure that there is no threat to them from anywhere. So this entire area they want to control right up to Aden or Suez Canal, because their area of interest is there, and they are opposing India there. They are directly influencing Iran. They're directly influencing the Battle of Gaza. So Chinese activity is just not limited to little Maldives. This is connected to all that, and Maldives is a very important base. And if Maldives comes under the Chinese control, let me tell you one thing, it will be a great strategic setback for India. So let us see how India monitors. India has, yes, got MQ-9B, our drones are there, the PAT Orion, it is monitoring it. We also have the long-range maritime strike fighters based on eastern coast and western coast. There will be no problem in case something comes. India's diplomacy is strong and India's attitude is changing. We are not military shy anymore like we were about 15 years back. Now we don't hold our punches. So let China not give us a chance, and let us hope that Maldives comes to some decent agreement. And of course, Sanjeev Srivastava will tell you more about the diplomacy. But let me tell you one thing: if Maldives does not make with India, Maldives has a lot to lose from all angles, whether it's socio-economic development, industrial development, and safety. Yeah.
Indeed, and I'd like to, pick one of the points you've stated and, take it across to Mr. Srivastav. Sir, good morning and thank you, of course, for joining us on NewsX. Mr. Wing Commander Bakshi had stated that, this development does not augur well for India. And let's also take a look at the larger picture. I'm specifically referring to Xi Jinping's expansionist ambitions. Wing Commander Bakshi had spoken about artificial islands. Now, this is something that China is known to be doing, especially in the South China Sea around the Philippines. Now, of course, they have set their eyes at the Lamu Atoll in Maldives. There was a secret deal that was inked and that was revealed, around 10 years back itself. Of course, their build-up around the Coco Islands is taking place. They're also now setting their sights at the Chagos archipelago in the Indian Ocean as well. Now, it is said that whoever controls the seas, they control the world. Of course, they will control the trade as well. But primarily, the United States of America is considered the world hegemon today because they control the seas. Now, do you think, of course, Xi Jinping's ambitions is not just aligning with the fact of controlling trade via land through his BRI initiative, but now he's also foraying into the maritime domain? And what are the implications for the international community at large?
Well, Pia, first of all, a very good morning to you. Good morning to Wing Commander Bakshi, sir, and to all the viewers. You have asked a very good question, and I know the answer is very straight and simple because China and Chinese intentions are exposed now. China under the over-ambitious President Xi Jinping wants to dominate the entire Indo-Pacific region. And obviously, in Pacific Ocean, they are, having this monopolistic designs, imperialistic designs to, control and occupy the entire South China Sea region. But in Indian Ocean region also, they want to have domination. And for to do that, they have been hatching all sorts of conspiracies by sending these, research vessels. Obviously, these are not research vessels. These are just in the disguise of this research vessels. They do all sorts of spying activities. They say that they are going for oceanography research, but they are into snooping. They are into gathering intelligence, monitoring, and having a close watch and gathering intelligence for Indian installments. So obviously, India is concerned, and because we know the Chinese intentions and designs and activities, and they are infamous for it in all over the world. The Chinese spying activities are a very big challenge for every irresponsible nation of the world. In the United States of America, let me say that the most of the such spies, those who have been held and been captive in the US jails are of Chinese origin, and they go into the disguise of some kind of students, professors, etc., etc. So China, does this kind of a thing, this kind of a subversive activities, because China believes in the idea of a Sun Tzu, that the best outcome of a war could be that war is war is won without a fight. And for to do that, they do all sorts of subversive activities into the adversary's territory. So I think India knows about this Chinese character, and that is why we have raising this concern with Sri Lanka. But Sri Lanka has taken a very wise decision by putting stoppage of such activities and visiting of such vessels for 1 year. And I'm sure that Sri Lanka will extend it also further. It is good, a very good decision by Sri Lanka itself also, because why Sri Lanka and other countries should allow other nations to do this kind of research? Why these nations can't do their research on their own? And I think Sri Lanka has taken a wise decision. But with regard to Maldives, Modi administration is clearly on wrong path, and obviously to demonstrate that he is implementing his India out strategy, he is taking such decisions to allow this kind of vessels to China. He went to China even before coming to India. Breaking the precedent of the past. So I think the Modi's administration's approach at this point of time is clearly to demonstrate the proximity with China. But yes, I completely agree with what Bakshi sir had just said, that before it does any harm to us, does any harm to the rules-based order of the Indian Ocean region, it harms Maldivians themselves. Because China is a country which believes in in this philosophy of fishing in troubled waters. China is a country which believes in exploitation. China does all sorts of exploitative activities, and to do that, they hatch all sorts of conspiracies. They put the countries into debt trap. They conduct predatory economics. But unfortunately, at this point of time, because of the political vested interest, Modi administration is not able to realize. But I'm afraid to say that the Modi administration, if they continue doing this kind of a thing, then they might face the same fate what Yamin administration faced. He also tried hard to become close to China, and what happened to Yamin? So I think Maldives government should not forget the fact of the past. Also, they should not forget that India cannot be put aside in Maldives. India has a very deep linkages with Maldivian people. In the Maldivian political establishment, we have a huge support, and support is such that Maldivian domestic politics is centered around India. So this kind of fact is very much there, and this shows the India's importance in the Maldives, in the domestic circles too. And if Modi thinks that he will put India out of the Maldives, it will not happen. It is not going to be happening. And India is a country, let me say here through your channel, we have been supporting Maldives in hours of crisis, in thick and thin. We have provided them support. We have secured their existence in 1988 with Operation Cactus. We have done a lot of medical evacuations from Maldives. We have conducted all sorts of provided all support during this COVID pandemic time. Even the water crisis when they were facing, we provided them support. So I think we have a huge support also in the Maldivian society, and that Modi administration must not forget. And if he continues doing this kind of a thing, which clearly indicates that he is doing any kind of a thing against India, then it will not be good for even his own administration, let me say here. But as far as the India's security concerns are there, that is very much there. And China, they have their Malacca dilemma, and to address that Malacca dilemma, they might come up with some designs in the Indian Ocean region, and this is certainly a matter of challenge for us. India must engage with the Indian Ocean region proactively. We have to continuously enhance our position of strength, our defense posture. By our own, we are the most important, most powerful nation in the Indo-Pacific region. Also, we have to have a greater collaboration and understanding with other, maritime powers of Quad nations. I think the idea of Quad is as relevant as ever. It is going to be as strong. The more China becomes assertive, the more China becomes aggressive in the Indo-Pacific region, you will see the Quad partners coming even closer with each other. And I think that's one way through which we can deal with this upcoming Chinese challenge.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.